Brett Foley with a pull, elects for an IO backhand. Ogden receives that comfortably on his chest. Doe with a zippy backhand through the cup. This time, Flatball Z, looking more like a traditional cup, but no, I think it is a pommy. Sanderson playing around a lot there as the middle position in the pommy. Fletcher wanting to bring out that very deadly and very effective hammer from last week. Instead, Ogden brings it out. Ang decides to take it on the shoelaces, low rather than going for the dive. Sanderson right on the ball with those crashes there as a defensive player. Davey doing great work there as well. Sanderson and Davey combining very well defensively. Canless not necessarily on the same page. Ang going down low again for a Schrader pass. No one out here. Everyone still lagging behind that disc. Yeah, definitely wouldn't be surprised to see that hammer being pulled out for a score here. That one quite flat and low. Yeah, it's got Schrader out there. That's what I'm talking about. Fletcher's been working on those and has been doing very well all this season with his hammers. Easy reset to Ogden, puts a big one up. Brill manages to get his hand in there. Going with the flight of the disc. Edgeworth, head down. Canless looking for Tran. Stevens long. Tran puts it up. It's a hospital ball. That'll allow people to get underneath it. Stevens collected in the head. Foul is the call, not strip, I believe. Hand signal, Schrader says uncontested. Now they'll discuss what happens. We'll get tapped in. Uncontested foul, and it's brought back in. Bit of a blind look. Ogden goes down as he bumps into Stevens. Injury call. The big O there, and Ogden immediately grabbing his face. Play will resume with the disc in the hand of Brill. Looks off Davey, passes to Sanderson. Doe hot on that mark, doing a great job as Foley comes in. So White sneak defensively, doing very, as I say that, very good job just to hold Flatball Z out of the end zone. But Sanderson does a cheeky over the top to Brill for the score as he kisses his guns. Says bookends, says thank you. Says hello to Des and Troy. So scores are even, 4 apiece. That's a nice looking pull by Foley into the wind. Holds up nicely for Fletcher. Chua going long, marked by Canless, looked off. Schrader with the disc in hand. Edgeworth now going long. Face mark. Good recognition by Schrader. Edgeworth one hand. Threads the needle with that dump pass reset. Foley comes through. Edgeworth has a chance. Just a pick call there. Did not affect the turnover. Just affects people upfield at the moment. They'll readjust, reset, make sure the pick doesn't happen again. Tran will keep the possession of the disc. Just coming in on mark call 1. Still count 1. Brill sees Foley. Comes up the closest sideline. Sideline's all packed at the moment. Swart with having to put his hand up really quickly and grab that strongly to prevent Schrader from getting it. Tran juggles it out. He's unhappy with himself. Davey had a shot on that as well. Schrader going long. He's not going to get that disc. Doe does instead. In the middle of the end zone. Foley comes in to try and affect a D. Doesn't get that. Ang pulls a big one out, but doesn't do that either. Ogden calling for it wide, and we'll get it out there. Now Ang goes. Ogden puts that. That'll float a bit. This will be a good contest to see. Foley reading that nicely. Just a little bit of body work from both players then. And Foley getting the better of that play. I'm not quite sure what happened then. Everyone stopped. So I think there's definitely a stoppage before that throwaway. There will be discussion to see what happens though. So a discussion is going on there. I have a feeling this will be a turnover as Mackenzie taps the ground to signal the disc is in play and live now as the nearest defender. Ogden straight away to the break side to Edgeworth. There's going to be another call there maybe by Swart. Ogden this time brings the disc into play at the front of the end zone. Now Brill's ready for that as a mark. Fletcher, what will he pull out? Will he do he does a dump to Doe. And Brill gets the fantasy points on the D. Injury during that throw from Davey. So Fletcher just jamming his ankle. Here's the description. And takes a moment to recuperate. As Davey repeats the previous play and dumps it off to Foley, and Foley gives it off to Tran. A lovely slash cut to the open side. No one on the mark on Mackenzie. Schrader now comes in. Pick called, we'll start play. Tran sees Mackenzie as his man leaves him deep, lets him go deep. Reads that very well. So Tran to Mackenzie to affect the score. We now have Flatball Z on 5 and Sneak on 4. Breaks the 4-4 deadlock. As we're getting a few drops of rain here at the moment, and we also get the lights coming on. So Fletcher receives the pull and gives it off to Chua. Sneaky scooper over the top to Ang and receives it back again. Fletcher crashes through the cup and does trademark. Fletcher hammer perfect on top of Schrader's head. Gives Edgeworth a chance to effect an assist and a score to P. Rain has just started during that break. Five all. Just a brief shower has made things a little bit slippery at the moment, just marginally so. As Stevens receives that disc. Gives it to Foley. Davey with a nice cut, but it's marked by Doe, who's got a bit of speed, and Foley recognised that and decided not to throw it to him. Meanwhile, Brill has an easy break throw as Chewer's just a little bit off the mark, and Stevens receives it for a score. So Flatball Z on 6, Sneak on 5. And Foley electing for this big IO backhand pull. And Fletcher receives that comfortably. Chua makes about 10-15 metres up the sideline, far sideline to Schrader. Fakes a huck, not coming. And that dump back to Doe. And they're back to where they started. Very simple game of chess here at the moment, and Fletcher winning with his winning hammer. Lovely point there by Ogden as he recognises that he wasn't going to beat Foley. On the open side, points to the break side. Chua sees that. Nice cheeky hammer. Foley had a sniff on that. But Ogden making sure of it, sticking his paws out and reeling that in. Fletcher with a big pull, and it just slides out the near back end zone by about half a metre. Meanwhile, Sanderson, that wasn't touched. He did touch that. Wanted the fantasy points, otherwise it could have been brought in right at the end zone, front of the end zone.
Sideline could shut up and let us hear the call. All right, this is in here. We're good. Coming through, 2 1. Help, clear out, Dylan, clear out.
Throw by Chua just a little bit behind Edgeworth. Does well to get a hand to it. And saves Chua from the negative points. Foley with no mark. Allowed freedom. You can't allow Foley freedom like that. And it's a Tran sandwich, and Tran wins out on that one. Bump Brill celebrations. That's what we like to see. The scores are 7-6. blue on 7, white sneak on 6. White definitely need to get this one. They don't want to go down to half. Fletcher puts on the Rockets. Very minor travel on that one, nothing to write home about. Chua, that was a great box by Chua and Davey. Great read as well. And that's exactly what Sneak wanted. As we go to Galaxy Point, score 7-all. The scores are 7 apiece. Flatball Z on offense. Foley having to make some ground to make sure Ang doesn't get the D on that one. Fletcher hot on, now has to drop to find his mark. Canlis wide open. Tran not having that throw, that not. Now Sanderson sees that, but he overshoots that. And Schrader gets another D to his name. Every opportunity that it's had to be directly in the hands of Canlis. He was sitting there waiting for it. Tran coming in at the last minute there to beat Schrader, who thought he had that comfortably. That was beautiful defensive work from Tran, and he'll get that back. Kick call, will slow that down. Should stay in the hands of Tran. And it does. Tran taps the disc into play. Effective switch by Fletcher. That leaves P guarding Sanderson, who gets easy under. Ogden calling a pick on that. Very 50-50 call. I don't disagree with that. Mackenzie recognising that Schrader didn't have eyes on him. And that brings up half. So Flatball Z will take half. with that final score from Foley to Mackenzie. So we'll take a short break here. Please go get something to eat and enjoy your time until we come back after half. So welcome back. We've just had half time here at Adelaide, South Australia, Super League Week 4. A game, Sneak versus Flatball Z, where Flatball Z did take out half on Galaxy Point 8-7. As we get mirror half, we get Flatball Z coming out on defense, pulling the disc right to left. A little bit of rain, a few drops here and there. It just means that when that disc does hit the ground, it is going to pick up a little bit of dew, a bit of water, make it a little bit more slippery. And for those of you who saw the end of that last point, Schrader not making the same mistake twice as far as catching, but doesn't learn about the throwaway. Throws it way in front of Doe, who tries to rescue it with a great layout attempt, Marseille. But Schrader still gets the throwaway. Swart with the under, puts it long with his trademark angled flick. Lands well short of Davey. Was his intended target in the end zone. Sometimes hot, sometimes cold with that Swart flick. Nevertheless, good to see him keep trying to use it. And going along, Ogden thinks about it as Sanderson peels off the help. Now it's coming around. Connor with the throwaway. Connor Fletcher with the throwaway now, looking long for Edgeworth. Did have nice height. It's just that both players weren't looking behind them to adjust in time. Sanderson brings the disc into play. Sam Davey wants the dump. Manages to get upfield this time to Swart. What will Swart do this time? Easy backhand. Fletcher tries to get the D. Bit of a poach out of the lane. Peels off his mark. Brill gets back on that mark. Now has to chase and make up some ground. Forces backhand. And there's a break there by Foley to Stevens to affect the score. As Flatball Z get the first point after half, score is now 9-7. Nice pull there to Ogden.
Beautiful.
As Rex Johnson joins me in the commentary position.
The dulcet tones of the big man.
Johnson and Shields. What a partnership, one of the big partnerships. And there's another partnership we see there, Chua to Edgeworth. That's in the air. Canlis with more height. P with more verve and zest to want, desire to want to get the cash. Doesn't get that though. Canlis gets it. Comes away with the D.
Nice tight game this week, Dr. Phil.
It is. It's a good game. Currently we have Flatball Z on 9. Now Tran goes long. Foley puts it, but puts a bit too much zing on that one as well. Needed a bit more air time. Tran not quite that fast. What was your perspective on that, Mr. Johnson?
Oh, you pretty much said it all, Phil.
Thanks, mate. Looking for a game of ping pong here, I think, for this point at the very least.
Mary Poppins away with the rain protection.
Fletcher going skyward to make sure that he can bring that disc down. Nice lazy floating disc in front of the running Fletcher, and he puts it long. Schrader with nothing but time to spare, could have read a book in the time that it took him to look at that disc and think about how he wanted to catch it.
Tight game, Phil.
Let's sneak, bring it back, 9-8. Got the crystal ball out there.
Sure do. What's the rain prediction? How's the weather looking, Doc?
Always a chance of rain, says Dr. Phil. Always a chance.
Put the umbrella away for now, or leave it staked?
Maybe whatever's easiest for you. And our viewers out there,
All three of you, congratulations.
for making it this far. A little bit of friendly banter in the central commentary position.
Wouldn't want it any other way.
And time is running out on this game as the next two teams prepare on the sideline. Red, Predator. Zimmer in black.
Big boy Ogden with the pull.
Number 64.
Out of the frame, out of the world.
That is sent skyward.
Come back in, hopefully.
Bit of angle on that. That'll create a bit of a divot. Swartz got an easy under. There he gets the disc.
Winds up the huck.
Yes,
Oh, and it's
as
gone.
he does, he heard that. I think it was intended for Brill, but Davey saves him. Brill to Davey.
Textbook.
What do you think of that?
Oh, textbook. Vintage Swart. Look at him. He's so happy with himself. Look,
Yeah.
it's exactly what I
I
wanted.
got that one. That one came off. It's exactly as I might have been intended.
Perfect. Just apologising to all his teammates.
For getting it right this time. Flatball Z reached double digits.
Oh,
10-8.
demoist the equipment.
The number 2 jersey of Ben Foley pulls the disc out.
I think he might be building a house. Another brick for the collection.
Another brick. I think he's up to the 2nd story now, isn't he?
If you count up the whole career, most likely.
Still by far the best Foley as far as Frisbee players are concerned.
Oh, definitely with the other one out of action due to a small bump.
Just a small bump in the road. Lovely flick from P.
Oh.
And going backwards, with the flight of that disc, reading that well. Sammy Ogden takes it one hand. Says thank you very much from Schrader for the assist. Score's now 10-9. I think he called it. Close one.
It's all me, mate.
That's an amazing pull, Connor.
Fletcher with a pull.
Stay back,
As Sneak put the zone back on. And we transition out of the zone into match on 5. Foley manages to stop that with one hand, juggle it and catch it. Tran comes in, stops Edgeworth.
No, it looked like it was intentional. Like it was I was behind me, I'm going to back it. Hey, Connor, stand your man. Hey, Connor, call those fouls. He's not allowed to tip it into you.
A score effective and affected by Foley to Brill. Scores 11-9.
You said you intentionally mapped it into my other hand. Yeah, I was about to. That's why I thought I'd do it now. I was actually standing over his
Changing things up, Sanderson with a pull. Inside out backhand. Horizontal by offense, sneak. Edgeworth easy under. Tran not attacking that one. And shut down. Now Chua finds himself open. Low flat pass by Doe. Chua up the line. Another hammer, we've seen that before, but Foley jumps early as Ogden pushes it under the disc. Seen that before, Chua to Ogden, marked by Foley. The former pair of sneak winning out both times. Scores 11-10. Score is 11-10 to Blue. Nothing upfield from Mackenzie as he shrugs his shoulders. Canless open, Brill puts it to him. Sends a little bit short, marked by Ogden, not shut down. Good work by Canless. There's an inside flick break by Foley, trademarked. Tran rocking back and forth, now probably give it off to Foley, and does. Stevens is going long. No one's looking at him. Ogden lets him go. Foley gets it back. Now Tran goes. Now Foley puts it up. Connor. Fletcher doesn't affect the D on Tran. Gives it off to Brill for the score. Flatball Z maintaining that 2-point advantage. White sneak coming back every time. What will happen this next point? Scores 12-10. Sneak putting in a horizontal stack once more. Edgeworth goes long. Schrader goes long. Nothing coming. Handlers moving amongst themselves. Mackenzie, strong mark. And that was a lovely arrow from Fletcher to Schrader. Stevens not able to touch that, and Schrader was, and puts down what would have brought them back. Schrader gets a touch on that disc from Mackenzie to Swart. Not enough though to get the D. Davey working hard close to sideline. Chua putting on a great mark, stopping the Sanderson flick. Bit of a stutter step, trademark there as well. Mackenzie cool, calm, collected. Looks away from his dump. Sanderson gives it to Stevens and turn to Swart. Puts up the flick. It's got a bit of height, but it's enough for Mackenzie. Travel called on that throw. I didn't see that myself. Disc coming on still count one. Swart with a disc goes to Sanderson, centres it. Wise choice. Swart stutter steps to go long. Comes under. Mackenzie's the only person free. Schrader poaches the lane. Canless going long. Pick called. Swart in acres of space.
Keep making options, looking good. Hey, here we go, Tim. Here we go, John. Hey, John, keep taking cuts, mate. Here we go, John. Johnny, don't just jinx, do your cuts. Lovely. Hey, keep operate. Yeah, nice. Guys, keep doing it. Come on, he's another option, he's another option. Tim, cut the surface.
Stevens working hard. Ogden poaches the lane, forces the dump. Cross to Mackenzie. Now Brill has an option, and Mackenzie sends that to the advantage of Brill, who reads that nicely. Says he's not in. Mackenzie running out wide. The pick called in the end zone. Mackenzie with Schrader trailing by a good 5 metres. Canless needs to drag Doe away so that Brill can see Mackenzie. Just like that. Jumps in. Ogden says, yep, that's a score. Score is 13-10 to Flatball Z. Ogden's already called it in. Schrader wants to check. Trans on the line. And it's confirmed. Score 13-10 to Flatball Z. Nice air hang time from that pull from Mackenzie, forcing Ogden to go with one hand. Doe puts that up. It's going to be a Fletcher sandwich here. He reaches for the elevator top 4 button. Says thank you very much for the assist to Schrader. Score is 13-11. Mackenzie electing to let that pull drop. Absolutely no reason for them to rush at this point in time. They have a comfortable 2-point lead. I say comfortable in the context of this match. They've had a 2-point lead, reducing to 1 every so often, but on average maintaining a 2-point lead. Sanderson calling for a little bit of a higher work rate from his teammates. And he gets it with 2 cutters into the same space, Tran and Mackenzie. Maybe a foul call. Ang did put his hand out to stop Foley going back into that. I think as this discussion continues, it's going to be more and more likely it's going to be contested and go back to the thrower. Doe puts his perspective in as Foley listens. Here we see it on the replay. Up it goes as my replay screen goes off at the wrong time. So look at that again now. Up. And goes up. There's the hand that he just puts in the way, preventing Foley from coming around. It's a bit clearer on my position than it was on the camera. And we've probably had about 60 seconds plus of conversation at the moment. As I said, it will just go back to previous thrower, Tran. Swart, this time with a nicer flick, but still in the air. Ogden all over Canless. Canless did not have a chance with that flight. A lot of hang time. Great if you play American football. Now this is more like what Tran with a box, beautiful positioning. Schrader goes around him, takes the outside lane and gets the score. Full length huck. Ogden to Schrader. Look, great work by Tran. He knew he didn't have the height on Schrader. Unfortunately, just really didn't have the position either in the end. The score is 13-12. As that pull goes out, Sanderson will retrieve it, bring it up to the brick mark. Sanderson stutter step, wanted the flick, didn't get it. Davey, good work to get that break off. Fletcher does his best, but Stevens with a good 5 inches easily in height over him already, just puts his hand up and says thank you very much. Sanderson to Stevens for the score. As Flatball Z regain that 2-point lead, 14-12. Swart arriving late, but the footsteps affecting a D, Phantom D on Ang. And Tran to Brill. And that's game to Flatball Z. Game 15-12. My name's Phil Shields, and you've also enjoyed the dulcet tones of Mr. Rex Johnson. Mr. Rex Johnson also doing great camera work and also on computer for your viewing pleasure and delight. So from me, it's a big thank you, and from Rex also a big thank you. And we look forward to seeing you in the next match, which is Predator versus Zimmer. Thank you very much for your attendance.